But in any case, there's this tree that is a outdoor sculpture, and it's not actually a tree. It's entirely made out of metal. I thinking back on it, must be stainless steel, because it looks like stainless steel. And this particular tree, it's bare. Obviously, there's no leaves on it or anything. And so it's like a tree in winter. And the top of it kind of tilts over and down toward the ground. It's all kind of gnarled up, and it looks like a tree that's really been like weather beaten, and is kind of like, I don't know how to describe it beyond that, but just, and as I was looking at it, I was thinking, sometimes you look at a tree, or think of the sculptor who did this tree. What was the emotion that he was trying to evoke? I mean, the tree could have been, all the branches lifting up to the sky. It could have been, reach for the sun, instead of, oh, get me away from this wind that never stops here on the, on the shore. It reminded me of the trees that I'd seen, along the Oregon coast or along the Irish coast, where the wind just continually blows and the trees are like permanently twisted to the side, right? And then that reminded me of temperament. It's almost like, trees have temperament like people have temperament. And temperament is something that we're both born with and we learn. Temperament basically, are you an optimist? Are you a pessimist? Are you, do you make the best out of things? Do you complain about things? Those kind of things, that kind of stuff that comes out of temperament. And then it occurred to me that not only do we individually have temperament, and we learn how to regulate our temperament. When I was 20 years old, I took a Dale Carnegie course, which I think was probably one of the best investments of my whole entire life. At the time, I'm guessing that they're still doing it like they did. It was a 14-week course in public speaking. Every week for one night, you'd show up and give two-minute speeches to a group of 15, 20 people that were part of your class. And you had to read 3 books: How to Win Friends and Influence People, How to Stop Worrying and Start Living, and Dale Carnegie's book on public speaking. And one of the things, it was as much a course on how to be a successful human being. And I don't mean successful in the business sense. I mean, like functionally successful. And one of the things that I learned out of that was that I could regulate my own temperament. I could regulate my own emotions. I could decide not to be grumpy or not to be, or to be. And that throughout my life, I've changed many, many different times. So that then got me thinking, as I'm looking at this tree, that the nation is like that too. There's a national temperament. And every nation has its own temperament. It's, it's informed by its experiences and by its people, but, the Northern European countries, for example, their temperament is very cordial, right? We are here for us. Now, it's changing as more and more immigrants are coming in, particularly darker-skinned immigrants. You're seeing the rise of a different kind of temperament in much of Northern Europe, which is basically the kind of Trump temperament. We don't want those people here. But nonetheless, I mean, that's the kind of the fly in the ointment. The larger thing, though, and you get this from watching Michael Moore's movie, which is now available online, by the way, Where to Invade Next, which is just, every American must see this movie. But in any case, that our national temperament is both informed by and reflected by our politicians. So, when and at this point, maybe temperament is not quite the right word. It's more like, our national emotional state. But our national emotional state, basically, I think that the Bush administration threw us into national PTSD. 9/11 happened, and Bush's reaction to it was so violent, so bloody, and continues to be now, 15 years later. So horrific, so costly, And at the same time, the trade policies, the anti-labor policies, you know, Scott Walker busting unions in Wisconsin, and it's not just Scott Walker. 33 states now have passed voter suppression laws that didn't even exist in 2006. I mean, we're seeing the complexion of our country change right in front of us. 30 years ago, nobody had student debt. Now it's like an inescapable fact of life, I guess. We're just supposed to accept it.
To watch more clips from our programs, hit the Watch More Videos button over here. And please be sure to hit the handy-dandy subscribe button so you'll always be up to date. Tag, you're it.